Good morning, I'm Sentinel Editor Bill Wilson. Thank you for tuning in to the Sentinel webcast. This morning we're talking with Fulton County Health Officer Dr. Craig Bugno. Our topic is swine flu. As Fulton County Health Officer, Doctor, you have been involved in responding to the swine flu outbreak. Can you characterize the outbreak here?
Well, we don't have any confirmed cases in Fulton County, and we probably won't have any unless there's a statewide epidemic. The reason for that is that the state lab is not accepting confirmatory samples from Fulton County at this point. During the time when they were accepting samples, we had none. We have had a few cases of influenza A, which could be H1N1, but we can't confirm that. They've all been mild cases, a couple of hospitalizations, and everyone's recovered.
So when my neighbor calls me up and says Aunt Lucy's in the hospital with swine flu, we can't really say for sure that she is or isn't, even if she is in the hospital.
Scientifically, we won't be able to say for sure. We can say for sure, for example, if she tests positive for influenza A, that she has influenza A, and most of the recent cases of influenza A in Indiana, when they were all being typed, were H1N1. So we can make that inference, but we can't do it with scientific accuracy.
Why did the state decide to stop the testing or stop inviting samples or whatever they were doing?
Well, I'm sure there's more information than this, but my information is two-pronged. One, most of the positive influenza A in the state turned out at this point to be H1N1. And the other reason is that there is not a widespread burden of disease. It's out there, but it's not causing a tremendous problem. And the state has a system of Sentinel sites that they use to establish the presence and travel of any infectious disease throughout the state. And they revert it to using those Sentinel sites simply on a basis of time and the amount of money that it takes to type all these things. If we sent every single influenza sample that was positive to be typed, the lab would be tied up forever doing that work, and they need to be doing other things as well.
How dangerous is the H1N1 strain of flu compared to other varieties?
So far, it's been relatively mild in its disease burden. There have been some deaths worldwide. There have been some deaths in Indiana. There have been some hospitalizations, but in general, it's a relatively mild influenza compared to some of the other seasonal influenza outbreaks that we've had in the past.
Would you recommend that people get flu shots, that more people get flu shots this fall than in a previous year?
Always. We'd essentially like to immunize everyone for seasonal influenza, which is not H1N1. And we'd like especially to immunize them this year that we have a novel virus, the H1N1, floating around as well. So this year there will be several flu shots around. There'll be the regular seasonal influenza, which is compounded and it's slightly different every year, and it should be available sometime in late September as usual. And I encourage people to get that. There also will be a H1N1 influenza vaccine that will be available. This vaccine is somewhat unique in that it's been contracted by the federal government and will be totally owned by the federal government. We expect it to be available somewhere mid to late October initially, and what we're planning to do at this time is to immunize the people at highest risk for H1N1, and then subsequently, with subsequent shipments of the vaccine, immunize people, the general public.
If I got the swine flu back in the late 60s, am I immune now from this variety?
Apparently it's not the same viral signature as the swine flu in the late 60s. It's a combination of avian and swine flu. It's thought that there is very little to no immunity in the United States, or the world for that matter, against this H1N1 strain, and that is the problem. The problem is not how sick it makes people. The problem is that there's no underlying immunity in most people, so that we would expect more people to become sick with this relatively mild influenza. And that, if that happens in a concentrated fashion, that's going to cause sort of havoc with our everyday lives. Your employees, if they all get sick at once, are not going to be able to work. If all the kids in school get sick at once, they won't be able to study. If all the healthcare workers get sick at once, there won't be anybody trained to take care of either the people with influenza or other illnesses. And so what we're really interested in is not so much fear that this disease is a devastating disease, but that it has the potential for everybody to get sick at once, and that's really what we want to stop.
We'll take a quick break now.
Okay.